But as they say, most of the times, if you don't take time, you just become a local champion because you do not really know what is happening in the rest of the world.
Okay.
And so I decided that it was important for me to understand the world. And
Mm-hmm.
as they say, where best is there than the United States of America,
Mm-hmm.
where they have a lot of things to teach the world. And I felt that it was time to travel and experience. So we decided collectively to apply and come to Harvard. And fortunately, I got the admission to come and do the MPA. So I felt that coming to Harvard was going to give me this broad network. And it was going to also let me learn contemporary things, what is actually happening, where the world is, what they are currently doing, and how we can catch up as a continent. So these were my motivations that made me come here. And, Harvard has a lot of, the faculty is very knowledgeable, is very diverse, is very current, and so are the students. And so I felt that coming here was going to be good. And it also gave me the opportunity to create another constituency out of my country of network
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where I can always come and work. You should not let your background, as I always say, keep your back on the ground.
Okay.
This world, everybody who has made it in one way or the other has worked very hard
Yeah.
to make
Mm-hmm.
easy things that looks easy, easy things come and it does not stay. So I
Mm-hmm.
would say you should work hard. You should be honest to yourself. And
Yeah.
you should decide deep inside yourself that you want to be a good human being. And you
Okay.
want to be useful to your community, your
Mm-hmm.
society, your country, your continent, and your race.
Welcome once again to the life of the AfroPro. I want to take this opportunity to thank you all for your continuous support, especially to our new subscribers. Keep sharing this piece to others, and I know it's going to be an insightful piece for a whole lot of people. The question is, as you seek to build capacity and greener pastures, how do you do it? That is the essence of this show. Today, we are fortunate to have another gentleman who has inspired many generations. And I believe by the end of this video, you'll pick a lot of insightful experience from this piece. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, share, and like, and feel free to leave in your comments. We appreciate all the comments we are getting in. My name is Kofi Boache. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm excited to have with me Edmond Combat. He's a candidate for Masters in Public Administration at Harvard University, Kennedy School. And at the same time, he's the co-chair for Africa Caucus in Harvard University. Edmond Combat, good to see you once again. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kofi. It's always a pleasure to see you. I think the last time we met was like a year ago at the
Yes.
World Trade Center.
Yes, true.
And, you're growing fresher every day and looking younger.
I'm just following your footsteps. Yeah, but
thing.
good to see you once again. And I've been following your progress. You're doing so well. I see a lot of stuff you're doing on social media, and I think you're on a good course. You are projecting Africa, and that's one good thing that I've seen about your works. I appreciate what you're doing for Africa. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, and thank you too. And the same thing, I've seen what you are doing with this channel. I've watched a number of interviews, and I will encourage young people across the continent to actually take this channel seriously, because the stories that are shared are very inspiring, very educative, and kind of give an experience of what people go through here, both the positives and lessons to be learned. And you are doing very well taking this initiative aside. I know you're a very busy person. Taking this as part of the things that you want to do to give back to Ghana and the continent at large is something that is very good. And I commend you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so if you are ready, we'll go straight into the conversation.
Yes, I am ready.
Okay. All right. We will start with a little bit about your background and your professional journey.
Okay. So basically, as you know, my name is Edmond Combat. I was born in the northern region of Ghana, specifically Tamale, but my parents hailed from the northeast region.
Okay.
My father used to work with the state government, and at the time that the country used to have state farms. Okay. So he used to be one of the combined harvesters, like literally a tractor driver. Let's put it that way. So middle school was the work he was doing. And then he went on voluntary retirement, and we had to go back to the village in Bumprugu. And that's how I grew up. When we went back to the village at the time, there was no electricity in the area. So in primary school, we had to learn using lanterns and other things,
Yes.
all the way to JHS. Actually, it was lantern I was using to learn. Until light came in Bumpurugu somewhere 2006. By that time, I was in high school. But even the small village that my father came from still did not have electricity.
Wow.
So for Bumpurugu JHS, I went to Nalerigu Senior High School, where I served as a school prefect for the school for 3 years. And from there, I went to University of Ghana, where I met people like you.
Yes, sure.
And it it was an experience that was really, really riveting. I remember one of the great places that one could be was Commonwealth Hall.
Exactly.
The hall of all halls. There's no hall like that in any part of the world. It was special.
Yeah.
But one thing about the hall is how embracing it is. Commonwealth Hall does not discriminate based on where you come from, how you look, which tribe you belong to, which religion you belong to, whether you are short or tall, fat or slim. For rich home or poor home, you are seen as one.
Sure.
And that camaraderie in the hall really was good for me. I joined the debate society, public speaking, activism, of course, as a vandal called to fight against injustice by nature. And we did that just out of pure and genuine intentions. And along the way, students felt that we could give them their appropriate voice if we represented them officially. And I contested for the Student Representative Council and became their associate president. And I think we did our best. Yeah,
Yes.
we did our best. Yeah. So from there, I went to do an internship with Bank of America Merrill Lynch in London. It was the first of its kind they were doing in the continent, recruiting young people directly from Africa. And we were the pioneer class with an institute they were working with called SEO, Sponsors for Educational Opportunity, which was actually founded in New York here for underprivileged people who came from poor backgrounds who needed to develop their skills to be able to sit at the table with those who were privileged. So we're trained, how to use Excel, PowerPoint, how to do financial modeling and other things. So I went to do the internship for 3 months, came back, and then did my national service with a small investment firm in Accra. And then one of the mentors I met along the way, Mr. Wadaku, called me to come and be his special assistant when he was CEO of Boston Tour. And that was another great experience with him, a great man. He gave me the opportunities, made me learn a lot of things. While there in 2016, I decided that it was time to go back to school. So I went to GIMPA Faculty of Law to do the LLB, and then all the way to law school. There I went to Ghana School of Law, became a lawyer. Along the way, I also started a few small enterprises. But as they say, most of the times, if you don't take time, you just become a local champion because you do not really know what is happening in the rest of the world. So I decided that it was important for me to understand the world. And as they say, where best is there than the United States of America, where they have a lot of things to teach the world. And I felt that it was time to travel and experience, especially after my wife had come here to study and kept inspiring me and being on my neck that it was time for me to do this. So we decided collectively to apply and come to Harvard. And fortunately, I got the admission to come and do the MPA. So in summary, that is basically me.
That's an interesting journey. Yeah, I think I started following you from the University of Ghana where we all met. And since then, you've been an inspiration to a lot of people. Yeah, I didn't know about your middle school and your primary school background, but I think it's an interesting piece to share with others. Yeah, that's a very good one. Okay, so now you finally moved to Harvard Kennedy School of Business. Now, what was the motivation beyond your wife inspiring you when she had gone through the process over here? Beyond that, what was the key motivating factor for you to move to Harvard?
Yeah, so as I mentioned briefly, one thing about study abroad or traveling abroad is that usually you get to understand the world better. You get to understand why things are working the way they are. And it gives you options and a lot of opportunities as well. You get to meet people from every corner of the world. who will let you know what is happening, let's say in Bhutan, in Southeast Asia, what is happening in China, what is happening in Russia. You will have someone there that you will understand their perspective. You will know what is happening in Canada, what is happening in Cambodia, what is happening in East Timor, what is happening in Egypt, what is happening in Saudi, in Israel, around the world. And you all be at the same place, and you'll be able to learn from each other. And as you are learning from each other, you're also correcting yourselves. What are the things you grew up believing that really is not, that are challenged in the way you see the world? And what lessons you learn from them, and what opportunities that you can get. And today, the world is globalized. It's a globalized village.
Yeah.
So if you limit your knowledge and network to just your country, you'll be doing your country a lot of disservice. So I felt that coming to Harvard was going to give me this broad network. And it was going to also let me learn contemporary things, what is actually happening, where the world is, what they are currently doing, and how we can catch up as a continent. So these were my motivations that made me come here. And, Harvard has a lot of, the faculty is very knowledgeable, is very diverse, is very current, and so are the students. And so I felt that coming here was going to be good. And it also gave me the opportunity to create another constituency out of my country of network, where I can always come and work. And, in this life, one of the things I also learned is that, as they say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Try to broaden your skills, try to broaden your network, try to broaden your options, so that you are not just limited to one particular thing in front of you, because those things easily lead to disappointment and apprehension. Because if you are just focused on one thing and it doesn't happen, then you can have issues. So these were the reasons why I decided to come to Harvard.
Thank you. You spoke about perception, certain kind of perceptions that you had, and then once you came in, having diverse people, the faculty, the students, and everything. What were some of the, I would say, cultural shocks that you experienced, or perceptions that you had? Then finally you came in, you realized that things were different.
One of the cultural shocks was that, by our upbringing from Ghana, you usually are nice to people, you greet a lot of people. Like here, if you come and you are extremely nice to someone or greeting people a lot, they begin to suspect you. And that was a cultural shock, right? They begin to look at you twice. And people take time here to build friendship. And most of the relationships are also quite transactional, and they take their time very, very seriously. And this country and the countries that have developed are where they are because they really take their time seriously. They work hard. They work very hard when it comes to work. They don't joke with it. When it comes to studies, they don't joke with it. If you are even sick and you can't come to class, you need to write an email to your lecturers and the course assistants to explain why you can't come. And when you're okay, they'll ask you to go and watch the lecture, because most of them are recorded. And then write a reflection on what you learned for a grade. All of that was not something that I experienced before. In terms of, and there are also a lot of people who just want to help, right? That if you show your potential, here, if you show your potential, you are not judged. You are rather encouraged. You are not shut down. People believe that whatever you say you can do it. Which is the case in our country for young people. Like, young people wants to do things, they are shut down. They are told they are too small. People in their 30s, 35, 40s are even told that they are young, they are too small. Here it's not like that. Nobody cares about your age. Nobody really cares about where you come from. What can you do? What value can you put on the table? How can you make human lives better? And there is a lot of intense debate that takes place here, but that debate is taking place devoid of emotions, and intellectually curious. People will take you on for the ideas that you proffer. That why do you say this? They will challenge every assumption that you hold. Why this? Why this? And for me, that is one thing that was lacking, that we need to embrace. Lecturers are taken on by students to justify why the things that they are saying. And in the circumstances that we schooled, if you don't take time, you will rather be marked down and all of that. And as a result of that, it's kind of kept or killed innovation. People have decided to shut down their brilliant ideas because they just want to get the paper and go out. So these were some of the things that, for me, were kind of a cultural shock compared to what I had.
Okay. All right. Okay. So student life in
Yes.
Harvard, how does it look like?
It's very tough because, as you know, I think in the USA, the most expensive places where you are is New York. I think New York, maybe LA and Boston is part of them. Cambridge is very expensive to live.
Okay.
So that is one problem. And obviously, fees are expensive, accommodation same. But what is good is that here there are certain options when you are coming here. So if you are fortunate and you get one of the student dorms, it comes with food. So the ones that comes with food it will be a bit cheaper for you. And they're also cheaper because the student dorm, so it's kind of small and other things.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of opportunities as well. For example, research assistantship. If you're not lazy, you can be able to make something decent out of it.
Yeah.
You can be a course assistant. You can be a teaching fellow. And all of those things can generate some incomes to help you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of student groups and there are a lot of seminars and programs in Harvard here almost every day. That if you don't take time, you will stop going to class and be attending them because those seminars are very educative, informative, and very challenging. People with different perspectives across the world.
Yeah.
So, and all of those things, most of it, they come with food, when we're in Lagos, we used to hear item 13.
Item 13.
It's also here. it's here because of the students are busy and the programs are they are competing for the time with the student. Almost every program has food.
Oh, okay.
So if you're an old vandal and you've gone through the system, you know where all the food are.
Okay.
You plan appropriately to make sure that you go and eat. So that is how we survive here. But in terms of safety, in terms of peace, in terms of commingling with others from the rest of the world, it's been extremely amazing. Like people are ready to network, people are ready to create opportunities to collaborate and partner. And student lifestyle here has been good. And there's been an African community also. We have the African Force that oversees students of African descent, brings them together for a lot of fun programs, for advocacy programs, for public lectures, series of policy discussions on the continent. And that caucus also works closely with the African diaspora. Students who are studying in other countries in the world, we work closely with them, as well as African Americans as well, and then Blacks in the Caribbean. So there's that kind of African aspect. There are days that we call like Black Months, Black People Month, and all of that.
February,
We wear dresses with kente and other things to celebrate our African heritage. So it's been good.
Okay, all right. Once you are a student, I just want to ask this question: how is teaching and learning different from what you've experienced back in Ghana with the style and then the model that is being used at Harvard with what you have experienced back in Ghana? How would you describe it?
It's so vast and so different. So the Ghanaian educational system is mostly very theoretical and sometimes unrelated to modern things.
Okay.
So most of the things that we learn are very theoretical, far removed from us. And it's like we just read a lot of old books and other things.
Okay.
And it's kind of regurgitation. So the lecturer comes and there's a monologue, he come and talk as like an actress in front for everyone. Before very few people ask questions, large class sizes, and then the class courses. At the end of the day, the lecturer gives you tests, and he really literally expects you to regurgitate what he taught you.
Okay.
And some lecturers will actually tell you that if you don't do this, I'm going to fail you. That was the experience in Ghana.
Yeah.
What I see here is that it's different. The system is designed to ensure you learn. The lecturer does not come to the class saying that I know I'm coming to teach you. The lecturer comes to the class wanting to learn from the students.
Yeah.
So the syllabus is there, the reading materials are there, but you're not restricted to that.
Okay.
And you are allowed to discuss things looking at it from the perspective of contemporary events. So almost everything that I have learned here is about what is happening now and what will happen in tomorrow.
Future. Yeah.
Very few instances do we look into the past to learn some few lessons on key decisions that were taken.
Okay.
For example, something like the Cuban Missile Crisis during the presidency of JFK. We only go there to look at what decisions he made, how he could have made the decisions better for the future.
Yeah.
But here, you are learning things about government and, let's say, artificial intelligence.
Okay.
You are learning things about government and the genes, science, and other things, like things of tomorrow. You are learning about agri-tech. You are learning about modern systems of government.
Yeah.
You are learning about entrepreneurship. You know, you are learning about things that are relevant and modern, practical. And mostly, they bring people who are in the field, who are actually doing it currently, to come and share their experiences for students to ask questions in a live program. And there's also a case method. The case method is that everything that has been done. So, for example, let's say somebody in Ghana was CEO of VRA, right? During his tenure of office, after he finishes or while he's there, a case is written about him or her. That what did he do wrong? What did he do right? The students discuss it so that the students who are now going forward, you will learn what not to do wrong and what to provide to make sure that the system works. So that is what I've seen as a difference between the education here and the education that we receive back at home. They just have to retweak it, you know, to not, because it's still based on the colonial template and still makes us very clerical. So like here makes you logically question things, like critical thinking abilities is developed because of how the teaching models are done. And solutions actually come from critical thinking. You know, there's a problem, there's a need. How do you creatively go about it, whether in the public space or private enterprise? How do you make sure that you creatively go about it to solve it, not just for present generation, but have a long-term view to ensure that whatever solution you are bringing cascade into the future to solve future problems that should not occur. That is what I've seen here.
Okay, interesting. My next question will be, you know, we live in an era that a lot of young people migrating or seeking greener pasture. So how do you envision the influence of African professionals back home, especially at a time that a lot of young people are moving abroad to seek for greener pasture, to build capacities and all those things? How do you envision that these African professionals moving away from their countries will have great impact back home in Africa, or specifically their countries?
That is a brilliant question. You know, as I said in my introduction, this is, today the world is a globalized village. So literally, whatever you can do anywhere in Accra, you can do it in New York. And you can do it in Canada, you can do it in Norway, in a lot of ways. But you need knowledge to be able to do that.
Exactly.
We know currently that 1 in every 6 people is an African. That's the current world population. And in a few years' time, 1 in 4 people is going to be African. 25% of the world population is going to be African by 2025. And 70% of that population is young, youthful people of Africa. So if you look at the dynamics and if you look at the population trend, the future belongs to Africa. But that future will only materialize if African governments and African citizens are able to position themselves to ensure that they proffer solutions that can better their conditions in the future. Where Africa currently is exactly where China was 40 years ago. So this population increase, burgeoning population, can either be a dividend positively for us, or it can be a crisis, depending on how we manage it. So I don't have any problem at all, and I actually encourage a lot of young Africans to travel, to get educated, capacity, to work professionally, and to be able, but they should not forget the continent. They should have 1 leg in Africa, 1 leg here, 1 leg in Asia, 1 leg in Europe, because the world is globalized. If I'm traveling with a bus from Bunkrugu to Accra, I'll spend about 13 to 14 hours on a bus. If I'm traveling with a plane from New York to Accra, it's about 11, 12 hours. So, you know, transportation has changed a lot of dynamics in how things are done, which means that we can do a lot of things wherever we are. So coming to learn here is good. Coming to build capacity is good. That is what the Chinese did.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of the Southeast Asians did. And even at Kennedy School here,
Mm-hmm.
Israel has one of the largest students here.
Okay.
Not only the Kennedy School, in the other schools, law school, business school, the same for Singapore, the same for China, the same for India, because you need your people to learn what is currently existing. And that is how it's not only today, even in the olden days during the Athenian democracy. At that time, a lot of people went to Athens to go and learn about the system of government to go back. So, and the same when the Roman Empire was ruling, because there are always ideas. If there is a superpower or there are a group of superpowers, there's a reason why they are. They have certain ideas that you do not have. So the best way to also move forward sometimes is to go there and learn those ideas and see how you can implement it. In the case of the Ghanaian diaspora and African diaspora, you play a key role in Ghana, even more than the multilateral institutions. Ghana currently, the Ghanaian diaspora, the last time I checked, I think payback remittances between $4 to $5 billion. The amount of money we are looking for from IMF is $3 billion. So the Ghanaian government should listen to the Ghanaian diaspora more than they are listening to IMF. But you guys have to organize yourself to do that, because the monies that the remittances that come do not come with conditionalities from you guys. They do not come with interest. It comes to help buffer the economy. And that would not have happened if monies were not, we all of us had not traveled and other things. It's the same thing in Asia. In China, for a long period of time, over a 20 to 30-year period, there was a lot of money that was remitted from the rest of the world back. The same for India. India has about 36 million people outside in the diaspora. And that's 36 million people help greatly the Indian economy. They bring back capital, they bring back know-how, and they are able to help develop the country. So for me, I will say, if you're a young person and you want to travel, you should do it, but legitimately. I don't believe in traveling through the Mediterranean, risking and walking all the way India. And they are being abused, raped, killed, traded, trafficked. For me, that is very sad. But that also talks about the African government. There's a lot of leadership paralysis across the continent, that the current leaders that we have don't seem to know what they are doing. They have to change to ensure that jobs and opportunities are also created for young Africans, so that it's not everyone who can travel. Those who want to stay can be able to build capacities and collaborate and grow synergies with those who are also building capacity outside, for that collaboration to the benefit of our continent.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, you spoke a lot about leadership. I know a lot of young people complain about the fact that we've had leaders in the past who schooled, lived abroad and all that, yet things are not changing. They keep repeating the same mistakes. What are some of the unique things that you think we can do as young professionals or young Africans now, so we don't repeat the old mistakes of our leaders that we are complaining about now?
I believe that there are a number of answers to that question. Number one is that I think that Africa had a lot of, there's been a mixture of leaders who have lived abroad and come home, and leaders who have not lived abroad. Some have come with the military, with the gun and other things. So sometimes you have to take one by one, and Nkrumah was an exception. And if we didn't have Nkrumah then, we would have said that the hypothesis holds water. But Nkrumah studied abroad and his life was different, right? So I think at the end of the day, it boils down to the convictions of the person, right? If you're a human being and you value yourself, you respect your race, you see life as an opportunity to play a part for the betterment of your countrymen and women. When you get the opportunity, I believe that you will not do things that are bad, that are corrupt, and that are unethical. So I think at the core of our heart will have to be something called service, right? If somebody is an American citizen, all of a sudden the person is given more respect than me coming from Ghana, right? Even if I'm a billionaire from Ghana, nobody has time for me. So what I'm saying is that we have to begin to change our mind, to be patriotic, to not look for ourselves, that in trying to look for ourselves, right? If we look for ourselves and our country is not doing well, we've wasted our time. We must make the country do well. And when the country do well, all of us will do well.
Exactly.
And Ghana is a small country. It's just a country of 30 million people, right? A small, tiny country. It's very easy to govern such a country and make it work. All that has to happen is that there should be honesty, there should be integrity, there should be thresholds and red lining on the ground that says that beyond this point, I don't take this. Personally, you should have your convictions, you should have your values.
Okay.
Exactly. You have convictions and values. You should be able to say no to things that are not in tandem with your beliefs. Because if you ask some of the people who have led and they're out of government and in their old age, they are regretting that when they got the opportunity, they misbehaved. And there's this penchant in Ghana for people and Africa for people to show that we are powerful. Nobody cares. Nobody wants people to, you're powerful for what? You don't, that's powerful. And so that is not, the focus should not be about power. Leadership is service. Leadership is causing a positive change, right? My professor always says that, he says that leadership is a meaningless term without purpose. If leadership is not serving a positive purpose, it's a meaningless term. You are just there as a figurehead wasting everybody's time.
Sure. Thank you. My next question will be, what would be the advice you give to young professionals who might want to toe your line of profession or who might want to do exactly what you've done in the past? What would be the key advice for such young people who want to do this?
Well, the advice I'll give them is that, as I mentioned, first, you should draw a plan for your life. You should ask yourself, what do you want to do in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, in the next 7 years, in the next 10 years? And you should stick to it. But you should also be amenable to change because there are certain changing circumstances. There are certain factors that you do not hold or that does not hold constant. You should get a mentor who is interested in you. Mentorship does not mean the person should be giving you money. That is what I want to tell young people. Most mentors don't give people money, right? It's advice and guidance because they have passed through where you're supposed to pass through. And then they will guide you. And if you have a critical decision you need to make that you are hitting the wall, you can call them to share their experience. At the end of the day, you have to make the decision to move forward. You should have your conviction. You should have. You should be ethical, and you should work hard. Hard work has no substitute. You should not let your background, as I always say, keep your back on the ground.
Okay.
This world, everybody who has made it in one way or the other has worked very hard to make easy things that looks easy, that comes, easy things come and it does not stay. So I would say you should work hard. You should be honest to yourself. And you should decide deep inside yourself that you want to be a good human being. And you want to be useful to your community, your society, your country, your continent, and your race.
Thank you. Thank you. I like that advice. It was simple and straight. Yeah. Okay. So finally, I will ask that, are there any key disciplines that you embarked on for you to be able to get to the level that you've gotten to? Or are there any regrets that you want to share with us?
So in terms of discipline, as I mentioned, I spoke about hard work, convictions, integrity, values, mentorship, and other things. But deeply, for what has worked for me that I also want to share, and that is personal, is that I'm very prayerful as a person. I take my religious faith very seriously. I grew up going to a Lutheran church. Then from there, as I traveled across, I went to Methodist Church, went back to Assemblies of God Church.
Okay.
And I pray. I work very hard, but I also pray a lot. I believe that there is a supernatural force, there is God, who looks over our affairs, who is present in our daily activities. And whatever the Bible says that I should do, I try to obey it. I love my neighbor as myself. I do not like gossip. A few things that I do that I believe are ethically right. I pray, I fast, I assist people with little meager resources that I have. I try to make sure that I work with the life of integrity. It's not easy, but that is discipline I think I've incorporated that has helped me. And I can pray for quite a long hours. And mostly here at Harvard, they usually say that what is your holding environment? So for me, that is my holding environment. Some people, their holding environment is to do yoga, to go and sit by the sea and do a whole lot of other things. So you must find out what holds you. Some people, their holding environment is just exercise.
Yeah.
Go and play ball, or so you must look at what calms you. So that for me, that is what prayer is, what has worked for me. In terms of regret, I don't really have a lot of regret. I actually feel very blessed because of where I've come from and how far the Lord has brought me.
Yeah.
There was an adventure I started in 2016, which didn't go well. It was a small fund management firm. So that was a very difficult period for me in 2018, 2019. It was not easy at all. Everything around me was crumbling. It was very difficult. But later I realized that it was a training ground to prepare me for a lot of things. But it was a very difficult period. I thought it was over. I thought I was very, very low at that period. It was difficult. It was difficult. And the regret was that I feel when I started that firm, I wasn't present. I hired other people to take care of it. And I was very busy running, doing other things. And those people looked like they also had other things to do, and they were not fully concentrated. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way I wanted. And but I learned a lot of lessons from it. And those lessons guide me moving forward.
Okay. All right. Okay. So if there's anything that maybe perhaps I didn't capture, but it's important to you, you want to put across, I think you can do that.
So I just want to encourage every young African that, you are special. Do not let anybody look at your color and make you feel less. You are blessed. The future of the world belongs to Africa, despite all the challenges that we're currently experiencing. We hold 65% of the world arable land. We hold a large chunk of the critical minerals that are needed for the economic transformation of the world going forward. DRC alone is sitting on minerals worth $24 trillion. Africa is going to have the largest market size of a single market in the next 25 years going forward. We are currently in the space where we are meeting all the conditions that China was 40 years ago. We are at the point of takeoff. And whatever you as a young African wants to do, don't postpone it, start. I will say that whether you're in the continent or out of the continent, make sure your feet are in the continent. Start that venture you have been postponing. Start that business, that consultancy, that service delivery. Start that mentorship program that you've been trying to do. Start what Kofi is doing, impact the continent. Do whatever you can to be part of that story. Because the Africa you see today, I guarantee you, in the next 20 to 40 years, that Africa is going to be totally different. There is an awakening of youthful presence that is saying that, look, we are tired of the old ways of doing things, and we want new ways of doing things to come. And young people across the continents are stepping up. They are taking charge of governments, as we see in Senegal, a 44-year-old guy. They are taking charge in entertainment. They are taking charge in the religious affairs. They are taking charge in entrepreneurship, in agriculture, in solar energy, in movies. They are taking charge in music. The continent is on the move, despite the challenges. Be part of that train. Never give up. You were created at this point in time for the continent. And please stand up and don't forget to watch this show, because this is one of the best innovations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Combat, for your time. We appreciate you so much for all the insights and experience that you've shared with us. I'm pretty much sure you have a lot to share. We'll come back for part 2, where we'll talk more details into some innovations that you're putting out there.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you for your time.
Thank you too. Thanks so much for sticking with us. Until I come your way in the next episode, stay positive, remain focused, keep a level head, and you'll surely get there.